Hi everybody, I'm Spike Brave, and today I'm doing a weapons test on the energy weapons that are available to Clan BattleMechs in Mechwarrior Online. I've recently done some tests on the Inner BattleMechs, so I thought I'd start out on the clans today, and we'll start out with the energy weapons. I'm going to start out this video the way I normally do, which is telling you a little bit about how your targeting works. So if you haven't played a clan mech yet, you'll notice that my heads-up display looks a little bit different. It's blue instead of yellow, and the shapes of my targeting reticules have changed a little bit. This is all cosmetic. They just look a little bit different. They work exactly the same. So I have a big X in the middle of my screen, and that's where my torso-mounted weapons are pointed. And then I also have an ellipse, and I'll move that away. You can see that moves away from that X a little bit. And that is where my arm-mounted weapons are pointed. Now, if you look over at the right-hand side of my screen where my weapons are listed, you'll see a circle and a plus. The circle are my arm-mounted weapons, and the plus are my torso-mounted weapons. So that's how you aim, so keep that in mind. Like right now, if I were to fire my weapons, I'd have a little bit of divergence between that plus that would shoot kind of at that big rock on the ridge there, and then that my ellipse is pointed at that purple rock right there, and so they would hit in different locations. So keep that in mind. That's how you aim your stuff. And also, you'll notice that as I move side to side, that targeting reticule for my arms doesn't move off the X from side to side, but I can move up and down. What this has to do with are the arm actuators equipped in my BattleMech. How that works is that your upper arm actuator, which every mech is required to have in both arms, moves your weapons, or your arms, and therefore your weapons, up and down. So you can see I can go up and down real good. I can't go side to side because this mech does not have a lower arm actuator. Lower arm actuators are what give you that side-to-side movement. When you're equipping your Clan BattleMechs, check out your arm location when you're equipping it. You may have a checkbox that says lower arm actuator and hand actuator. If you check those boxes, you get those actuators, and that would give you side-to-side movement. Now, in this particular Dire Wolf I'm using, I don't have that option, and there's also a special case rule about that option. If you were to equip a Clan autocannon, Gauss rifle, or PPC in an arm, you no longer have the option to use those actuators, the lower and the hand actuators. So keep that in mind. If you're wanting to use those actuators and you put an autocannon, Gauss rifle, or PPC in that arm, they automatically come unchecked. So keep that in mind. So let's test out these weapons. I'm going to go pick on that commando I usually pick on.
Target acquired.
Target him, and we'll zoom in on him. And what I'll do is I'll start out by shooting the Clan ER large laser. So we'll take a shot at his arm there, and we'll fire that large laser. Now you can see that did quite a bit of damage. Also did quite a bit of heat, and that laser burn takes a very long time. Now I did a lot of damage to that arm, but I'm in a mech that's standing still firing against a target that is not actively avoiding me. So keep that in mind about these clan weapons. They take a long time to discharge. So if you're facing clan mech, run around. At that point, he'll only be able to paint all over you, and he won't get a lot of damage where he intends. There's a lot of discussion in the community right now about whether clans are overpowered. I don't think they are. They play quite a bit differently, and really the best way to handle a clan mech if you're dealing with one is to move around a lot and don't let him get a long shot on you, because most of their weapons do damage over time. And this is also, I think, what leads to a lot of people saying, well, clan mechs do a lot more damage. I think they do a lot more damage because you can't hit what you're aiming at. So you're spraying a bunch of damage that's not necessarily wasted, but it's not effectively killing your opponent. So I see that a lot where you've got a mech that's doing 1,200 damage and he's got like one kill because he's had to park the entire mech that he's firing at by spraying these long duration weapons on him. So that was a look at the large laser and how horribly long it takes to discharge. So we'll fire our medium laser at it now. And if you compare that to the inner sphere medium laser, that's also quite a bit longer burn time. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here, the next weapon I'll fire is my Clan ER small laser. Now, if you look over on the right hand side there, you can see that the name is yellow and the range is yellow, the 200 meters. Well, if you look at the commando, he's out at 212 meters, which means he's beyond the effective maximum range of this particular energy weapon. Most energy weapons will fire out to double their range and do less damage until you get to in the case of the small laser, that 400-meter mark, and then it would stop doing damage. So keep that in mind as you're firing your lasers. Look over there and make sure that, well, you don't necessarily have to be white like that, but keep in mind you'll be doing less damage and it may not be worth the heat you're generated. So let's take a look at that small laser now. There we go, and I took off his arm with that. And as you can see, when he exploded, he moved a little bit, and I did spray his side torso and leg. So that's been a look at these regular laser weapons. So let's take a look at the pulse lasers. I'm going to go after his other arm with the large pulse laser. And you'll notice a longer burn time compared to the inner sphere weapons on here. Oh, I hit the wrong button, so let's do that large pulse laser now. So as you can see, there's quite a bit more pulses on that. And it took a lot longer to discharge than the inner sphere version. What's nice about the Clan pulse lasers, they do have some pretty good range on them. I do like the pulse lasers. They burn about as long as inner sphere regular lasers, do a little bit more damage. They do a little bit more heat, but it's easier to keep them on target. So let's take a look at that medium pulse laser. And then finally the small pulse laser. And again, I'm on a range on that one, and he's not doing quite as much damage. So it's been a look at those different laser weapons. So what I'll do now is I'll hit him with the ERPPC. I'll have to put it on a weapons group before I can fire it, I guess. Alrighty. So we'll get that on there. And the ERPPC works a little bit differently than the inner sphere PPC, so I'll hit him with that. Now that looked a lot like the inner sphere ERPPC. What you'll notice happened to the Commando's paper doll is that it lit up in two spots. How a Clan ERPPC works is that when you fire it, the location that it hits directly takes 10 points of damage. Also, what occurs at that same time is that the PPC damage arcs out to the two adjacent locations. So if you notice, when I hit him in the left torso there, his left torso lit up, and then his center torso lit up. Those two adjacent locations take 2.5 points of damage. So that's how those ERPPC works. They do splash out to those two adjacent locations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim right at his center torso. And it's small. I'm shaky today. So if I hit him now, I'll hit him in the center torso, and what you'll see is both his side torsos will light up. And that was enough damage to finish off that side torso, but keep that in mind as you're firing these PPCs. They do spread their damage to the two adjacent locations, and in the case where I shot him in the side torso and he didn't have an arm, that 2.5 points of damage was just lost. So let's been a look at how this PPC works, and then on another note on how the PPC functions, it is treated like a ballistic weapon for mod purposes. So if you're using a modification like a Clan targeting computer, they'll extend the range of energy weapons. So if I had a Clan targeting computer equipped on this, my small laser, for example, at 200 meters might say 205 meters, but my PPC would stay at 810 meters. For the purpose of the targeting computer, the PPC is treated like a ballistic weapon, and with the targeting computer, the ballistic weapon's projectile speed is increased. So keep that in mind when you're consuming hard points. It's an energy weapon. When you're shooting it in game, they treat it like a ballistic. Just something to be aware of on that. And then let's talk about the flamer. Now that's a special case energy weapon. As I mentioned with the lasers, they have that double extension on the range. If you look at my flamer, it says 90 meters and it's black right now. That means I'm out of range. So if I fire my flamer, I'm just too far away. The flamer doesn't have that range extension, so if I wanted to use my flamer on this commando, I'd have to get within 90 meters of him. So let's get up on top of him, and we'll use that flamer. Alright, you see now it's white, and that means I'm within range and I can use it. Now, what your flamers do, we'll shoot him. They don't do a whole lot of damage. See, I'm holding this on him for quite some time, and it's messing up his torso pretty good, but it's not doing a lot of damage. What these do is they do affect how often you crit. They do crit a little bit better. And then the other part about them is they heat up the opposing mech. And I'm going to move on to a different mech before I kill him to show you how that also can affect you. So I'll say goodbye to the commando and we'll go pick on the cicada for a while.
New target acquired.
Target him. Flamers will heat up your opponent. They'll heat him up to 90% of his heat scale at a maximum, and then it'll stop affecting his heat scale. That's to prevent you from stun locking him. So if you want him to shut down because you're using a flamer on him, he'll have to do something, run, jump, shoot, to get over that 90% threshold up to 100 and shut down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my flamer on him, and what you'll notice is the longer I use the flamer, the more heat it generates. So at first when I start using it, nothing's going on with my heat scale. Now after a while, you'll see my heat scale start to go up. And it does take a moment, so we'll hold it on here. Actually, Mike holds his leg off before that happens. So as you can see, it's doing okay damage. I wouldn't recommend taking a bunch of these into a fight. They are quite hot. And there we go. As you can see, my heat scale now is going up about 1% a second, and I will eventually overheat myself. That 90% cap doesn't count for me because I can sure shut my own mech down. So we'll get up to the heat warning and we'll shut that off. And that is how the flamer works. So keep an eye on that when you're using them, that you might overheat yourself too. I don't particularly care for them. Some people do like to use them, especially on hot maps. You can get another mech to shut down. That can be advantageous. The short range and the high heat of them, I just don't think they're worth it. And then finally what we'll do is we'll show you how Clan Tag works. Tag is considered an energy weapon for hardpoint consumption, but it really doesn't do anything. What Tag does is it provides a lock-on bonus for both your LRMs and any friendly LRMs. And if you're outside an opponent's ECM bubble, you can target him with your LRMs at that point. So what we'll do is we'll turn on that Tag. Now, as you can see, it just puts a little X or a box with a plus in it over the mech. But this lets everybody who can see it know that this mech is now tagged, and your bonuses for LRMs will be applied if you shoot at him for as long as you hold this tag laser on him. If you turn off the tag laser before your missiles hit, you start to lose the bonus. Some important things to know about this is, number one, you have to see him. You have to be able to actually see the BattleMechs. So if he was behind that hill, I wouldn't be getting a bonus. You have to hold it the entire time. Something else that a lot of people don't realize, that this laser is a pointer. It not only points at the mech I'm shooting at, but if there was somebody in that catapult looking at me, he could follow that laser back to my location. I encounter a lot of ECM mechs that are using a tag laser and can't figure out how I can find them. Also because I'm following the laser back in, but that's not occurring to them. But just keep that in mind, that this does point back at you. And then the last thing that's pretty important about this is that indicator that you're being tagged can be seen by friendly units and hostile units. So as you can see, this catapult has this atlas right behind him. So if I'm pointing at this catapult, that atlas can go, "Hey catapult, you're being tagged, get out of the way." So keep that in mind. If you see that indicator, warn your ally. He can't tell. There's no indicator in game inside your cockpit that lets you know. You have to rely on your teammates to tell you, "Hey, you're being tagged." So keep that in mind. If you see somebody getting tagged, let them know. Well, this has been a look at these clan weapons. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Thanks a lot.